Hello and welcome to Let's Enter the Arena. I'm your host, VM Campos, and this is the podcast where I chat with a member of the Magic the Gathering community every single week, and we share our tips, tricks, tragedies, and triumphs as we focus on Magic Arena. Well, everyone, I've got a return guest to the podcast to catch up on some Magic, to talk about the new cards that are coming soon, and to also talk about a streamiversary and tips and advice and such. Please welcome back Keeb.
Why, hello there, everybody.
Thanks for being on the show. Let's let people know a little bit about where they can find you online.
I've been working on my YouTube. It's youtube.com/KeebPlays. Also twitch.tv/KeebPlays if you want to catch me live. And basically any other social media of relevance is KeebPlays as well. I don't post much on Snapchat, but Instagram is definitely active.
Excellent. Hopefully we get you some more traffic. Thanks for being on the show. You just came from work earlier. Did that go all right?
Oh yeah, I let people go and then we got busy at the end of it. Murphy's Law, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's so funny. So hopefully everyone got their meals and stuff, and then you're home here, and now we're ready to talk Magic.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited. Let's do it.
So let's catch up a little bit in terms of how has your Magic life been so far in terms of what are you playing? Are you managing to catch anything in person, or is it all just digital arena and such?
I'm actually really excited to be able to share that. I have begun to get my significant other into Magic, and we've actually played some paper Magic recently, so that has been super exciting.
That is really cool. Yeah, especially when you can teach someone brand new, and then have they decided on like what colors they're like or what strategies or anything?
Well, what I did was buy a dual deck and or one of the starter, dual decks that are kind of built to fight each other.
Yeah.
So they're just black and green monocolors. So she's been playing the green. I figured it would be a little easier to grasp rather than like pulling stuff back out of your graveyard, because like the main card there is I think it was anytime the creature attacks you exile a card, and then you can play those exiles cards eventually. And I thought that'd be a little extra for her to figure out at first. So I thought make things big, trample. Like I figured those were easier things to grasp. Not that she couldn't understand the other things. I just felt like if somebody was teaching me, I wouldn't want to be thrown like, a full blue deck with counters and stuff. And then you got to know when to do it, et cetera, the difference between instant and sorcery counters, all that kind of stuff. So like, I'm just trying to teach her the game, and she's actually really loving it. And she wins most of the time, but we've been playing with open hands at first. So we'll draw our cards and we'll just put them face up, and I'll kind of like just show her strategy and like, try to tell her that she won't know what I'm carrying, but if she kind of knows what deck I have, she'll have a good understanding of what to play and when to save it. So I'm kind of teaching her the meta game from the beginning, which is pretty cool too.
That is cool, because when we had the ability to do a lot of stuff in person, so I was an advisor to a card club at the local college, and we'd get new people coming in all the time wanting to play the various games. It wasn't just Magic. It was if people wanted to play Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh or Vanguard or whatever, we had something for everyone. But when people were coming in and they wanted to learn Magic, I was usually the one talking them through playing Magic, and we had some of those free welcome decks. Have you ever seen those? It's like those 40 card free decks that they give sometimes at local card shops.
Yes, I have. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So we would use those to teach the new players, and those are pretty cool because they have some amount of flying creatures. Sometimes like something splashy with maybe it had trample or whatever, but it was pretty basic stuff, and it was a good way to teach people. So I'm glad Wizards is still continuing to do sort of like intro products, and so these mono color decks. It sounds like who were the main cards on those? Because I know I got one of those to do some YouTube upgrades, but mine came with Veto, that one mono black vampire that drains when stuff happens, and then the green one was that big old ape Kolga. So I think there's like two versions of those products actually.
Yeah, I think it is the ape as well, but I think it's the black guy. When you attack with them, you exile like a card from your graveyard, and then you may play those cards that are exiled.
Was that a skeleton?
I think it's a skeleton.
A skeleton.
Yeah. I could go get the actual deck. I'm terrible with names, but anyways, Yeah.
That's okay, but I think I know which one it is, but that's the product, yeah, that Wizards is putting out. And didn't that also come with like some arena codes to play the decks digitally?
It did. So we got the digital decks, and I got her into playing that as well. So she also plays online a little bit, which is pretty cool. And
Mm,
the real cool thing was like I didn't know how much they were going to be. It wasn't like labeled at Target for whatever reason. And then when
yeah.
we went to checkout, it was only like $6 for whatever reason. So like, you know,
Yeah.
it was definitely worth it.
It's got two decks, they're foil, they have a cool face card, they have a digital code. It's like, yeah, it is a really good way to get started playing with Magic. I wish that they would put more of those digital codes in more of the real life Magic products, but what are you gonna do?
Yep, you know what happens.
Okay, cool. Well, what about yourself also in terms of what are you playing? Any standard or historic or drafting or anything like that?
I like to do the drafts on Arena because I feel like there's a lot less risk involved in like not risk, but you know, like
Yeah.
I feel like since it's digital, like when I draft in real life, like I'm picky about doing it, you know, and I'm like
Yeah.
looking for the money as well as trying to make a nice deck and all that kind of stuff. Whereas I feel like in the drafts on Arena, like I can really just make a deck. Like if I'm like, ooh, that card's fun, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just kind of, and sometimes the oddball decks win for you because a lot of people like understand what you really want to draft to make a good deck. Whereas like sometimes you can just kind of hit them with the curveball and it works in your favor.
Yeah, exactly. If everyone is reading the articles or watching the videos about what's the meta, what's the current set, and what you need to look out for, well, then everyone's going to look out for it, and then everyone's going to snap it up, and everyone's going to get pieces of the good deck. So that's the great thing about draft, that it sort of self corrects. Now that we have real person drafts, you have that synergy happening when someone picks up a couple of the great red cards, and then someone else says, "Well, I want red cards. They're getting the red cards, so okay, I'll go to the green cards." And it's a really cool way to play. It self corrects. There's people, real people that you're battling against.
Yeah, I have yet to do, though I have a free token. One of the premier drafts, I guess is what they're called
Oh,
or
okay.
whatever on
Hmm.
Arena. It's the one where you're actually doing with players. Um,
Yeah.
so I want to do that for sure because I have a free one that I got from one of my seasonal rewards, or I forget how I got it.
Yeah.
But so I'm excited to try that out. But yeah, I've just been doing, like I said, doing the drafts. And then I just do the dailies to get the coins and that kind of stuff, which I've always said on this podcast. And then recently, I've been playing around with a mill deck that I made that's actually pretty strong. It's a mono. I love mill. I always talk about it. I know it's not like something that's going to actually win you tournaments and stuff, but I just love playing it because people hate it. Maybe I'm a
Yeah.
little bit of a sociopath in that regard, but
Well, you're in good company because I believe I remember hearing a few times that Mark Rosewater, one of the big names in Wizards of the Coast, I believe he likes Mill as well. He's been responsible for some of the best Mill cards throughout Magic's history. So you're in good company if you've got a big name in Magic also into Mill.
I still, I think I've said it once before on this podcast, but Duskmantle Guildmage was the most sleeper card in this game because you can mill for damage, which is insane. But anyways, yeah, so I like it, and I made like a mono blue mill deck, which actually is really powerful because you just get a bunch of like walls that go up to block any creatures, and you chump block with them, and then if you can get like two psychic corrosions or whatever they're called down on the board at the same time. And then, so every time you draw a card, they get milled, and every time you play a blue card, they get milled. And
Yeah.
then that's kind of why I like it, and it's fun. And it's won a couple times, and anybody can bring anything into those matches. So it's funny that that deck will win against. You can make these like super brutal decks, and there's no rules basically. So
Yeah. Now, do you ever put in those persistent petitioner buddies in there to also do some turbo mill?
I although I understand the value of the card, I just don't like stacking more than four of any card in a deck, and I feel like it's most powerful when you make sure you draw them.
Yeah.
So like, although you can have as many as you want, I don't know. It's just it's yes, it is a strong tactic, but it's just not super fun for me. So
Yeah.
I don't use them very much.
Hmm.
There's like a 0/4 drop, 0/4 that
Yeah.
put down and it like mills two or whatever. It's like a one drop.
Yeah. It's a merfolk, I think.
I think so. And then there's the the adventure card that has the sorcery it's
Yeah.
stacked on it that you can. It's just a 1-drop mill, and then you get a 0/4 creature to put on the board or whatever. And I'm
Hmm.
like, I find those very powerful, just because
Yeah.
as long
They
as they
are,
can chump block.
yeah, they do both things, right? They do the mill part of things, and then they do the chump block so that you can extend the game and get your game plan going on.
Exactly. So
Do you put a ruin crab in there, maybe?
correct. Yeah.
So a full play set of ruined crabs, and that's a fascinating card. It's simply play a land and you mill the opponent. How much is it for 3 or 4, or how much?
I like anything where you play a land. I like landfall basically. It is. 3.
3. So yeah, 3. That adds up. And imagine if you've got 4 of them out at once. That's a whole lot of cards getting milled at once. And I'm sure with everything else you've got going on, yeah, it's a pretty amazing sort of turbo mill deck. Now there was a guest on the podcast at one point where she said that yeah, I hate these mill players. But then when I had her on a few months later, she's like, you know what? I just became a dirty mill player too.
Sounds about right. Well, because you just look at it and you're like, wow, it's crazy what you're able to do. And I just like how, like, in Magic, life is a resource, so I just like totally ignore your life.
Yeah.
I just there's this other like semi life pool, and if you're playing 40 to 60 card decks, you know what you need to get there. And just, I mean, there's some stupid cards where towards the end of it it's like mill half the library, and then like
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So if you just got to survive. Like, if you run up against like a red white, like a Boros, it's just like
Yeah, that's a little
bringing
tougher.
little guys at you. Yeah, bringing guys at your face. It's like over at that point. But if you play the right kind of deck, they're gonna lose.
Hmm.
But isn't that magic?
Yeah, it can be the luck of the draw. You can have a jank deck and still win up against a mythic player if the cards work.
I like how that's like.
I had an example where I was in, I don't know, like platinum level or whatever, and I played like a really basic pauper vampire deck. It was just like common vampires, and I was able to win best of 3 out of this player that obviously had been trying to play a little bit more meta. So whatever you bring in, sometimes it's the luck of the draw that you win against someone more powerful.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, I love how, like, that's still like a tournament entry deck that just says jank. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
I love it because you know exactly where it's coming at you, and like it's like a thorn in your side so much that you finally just lose. Like,
Yeah.
and then that's kind of where I feel like where it's at with that kind of deck. So it's fun.
Hmm. Yeah, I've been having fun as well. As for me, I've been playing a little bit of everything. I've been on the ladder, not that much standard. I guess I'm still scarred from standard of a few months ago before the bans.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I've been playing a lot of historic, and I like that it's a larger card pool, and you run into less of the same decks over and over in historic. So when I'm trying to play for real on the ladder, I'm usually playing historic, and I've had a lot of fun with a really. Speaking of jank, I've been playing a mono white Ulamog deck in historic. So Ulamog is the 10 casting cost, 10/10 indestructible Eldrazi that when you summon
Nice.
it, when you summon it, you can exile 2 permanents, and obviously you're gonna exile your opponent's lands. So
Yep.
then when it attacks, it then exiles into mill 20 cards at a time. So the big idea with that deck is, of course, it's just to ramp as hardcore as possible. And now,
Yep.
okay, ramp in white is all about the mana rocks. So as many
Yep.
mana rocks in there, and then a couple of board wipes in case the opponent dares to play creatures. And then I'm trying to get Little Ugin, which gets you into Big Ugin, and then Ulamog. And then when it happens, I've been there at a few times when the opponent has gotten me down to like single digit life. I summon
Yep.
either Big Ugin or Ulamog, and then they concede because it's that big.
Yeah, they just, well, they know it's over. So and
Yeah.
it all makes sense why they've been with sandbagging this whole game.
Yeah, they didn't do anything, but they just put a two cost mana rock on. And they put out another one, another mana. Oh, what are they doing? And then suddenly, when I get to the 8 or even 6 mana, and my stuff is happening, yep, they figured it out.
That's awesome.
So I've been playing the historic ladder a lot. I've also been playing Brawl a lot. I've been enjoying that too because of the challenge of deck building there in terms of it's all singleton. you have this Brawl Mander that lets you craft a deck, and I put the stipulations on myself that I love to pick a commander and really make a deck that is flavorful. For me, Brawl or Commander is really about the flavor of it, not trying to put in like the most powerful cards, really optimizing it and trying to go into CEDH and so forth. For me, it's like this is a vampire deck, so everything's vampires. Oh, that Baneslayer Angel is amazing, but it's not a vampire, so I won't pick it.
That's how I like to play too. And me and my buddy is like so I lived in a house and there was like 5 people living at the house basically, and we all played Magic and we would all gather around the table, and that's basically what it came down to. Because like we could have all like my buddy is like a pretty popular musician and he could have spent
Mhm.
like all the money he wanted to destroy us, you know.
Yeah.
But like, what's the point in that? You know what I mean? There's no fun in that. So like, do you remember when they had that giant collection of the theme decks come out, and it was like a giant blue box, and it had like the elf deck,
Hmm.
the etc. It was all the themed decks, and it was a giant collector's edition. Now I want to look it up.
What,
Um,
like about what year or so was that? Do you remember?
this was probably like 6 years ago now.
Yeah, I
Um,
wasn't in Magic at that point. I had a gap between 2000 and 2017, so I missed what was going on at that point. But that sounds like a pretty cool product.
oh my god, it's absolutely insane, and I think he still has it. Oh my god, but it has the sliver deck, the elf deck, and it's literally like 10 or 12 decks, and it's in this giant awesome thing.
Hmm.
And it wasn't too expensive. Um
Were those commander decks or standard decks or modern or
there was just standard regular decks,
no? Okay,
standard decks or whatever.
60 card.
Anyway, yeah, it was, oh my god. Anyways, let's move on from it. But it's
Sure.
it's literally a collector's edition with all the different themed decks, and
Hmm.
um they weren't necessarily balanced, but we would all just be like, okay, I'm going to play the elf one this time, or I'm going to play slivers, etc., etc. And
Hmm. I,
so that's what we did. Like somebody made a cat deck, which I know you're a big fan of cats, um, and all that kind of thing. So we would just make theme decks, and we'd made a bear deck, just all the bears we could find,
hmm.
like basically every green bear and black bear we could possibly find. And then yeah, we would just do that because it would be fun. And even if the deck was inferior, we would just like make up house rules. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
and stuff like that. Just to have
And you
fun
were
with the game.
usually
'Cause, I
playing
mean, that's
those multiplayer, or were those like one-on-ones?
there's like one on one. We did a few. We started to dabble in like commander type stuff and like multiplayer ones, but some of the decks in that collector's edition box were like so dominant, you
Hmm.
know, that it was just kind of like we had to like rule out the zombie deck or whatever. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Because it was
Hmm.
just like, it's not fair. Like I'm pretty sure the elf deck was pretty unstoppable just because you got so much mana ramp, and
Hmm.
like it was really fast with the Lano
Hmm.
War and stuff like that. And those were the better Lano Wars.
Are you playing any brawl decks on Arena recently?
No, I actually only played Brawl once on Arena. I'm
Mm.
not gonna lie. I guess maybe I'm still trying to like grasp just regular Magic to begin with, and
Sure.
fitting it into my gaming schedule as it is. Um, I play a lot of different games, and one in particular has my attention really hard right now. So I actually just started playing Arena again actively, like the last maybe month,
Yeah.
um, just because me and my girlfriend have been playing, in person and stuff. So
Well, speaking of other games that are very, very popular, might that other game you're talking about be that one with all those little space chores and stuff?
well, that one, yeah, I'm a big fan of Destiny, and that one just came out, so it is does. Wow, you nailed it. Space chores. I never really thought about that.
I think we're talking about different games because I'm talking about Among Us, that one.
Oh no! Wow, but you no,
Destiny is
I
also
have not
space
been playing it.
chores.
Yeah, Destiny is literally space chores though, but that's well, I'm gonna say that to all my friends now when I play it. I'm like, you ready to go do some space chores? But no, I haven't played Among Us yet either, though I own the game.
Hmm. It does seem like there is a big golden age at the moment of games, especially multiplayer type of games. And Among Us is the one that I'm seeing so many memes about them, and so many Magic personalities also talking about, well, yeah, we're going to play Magic, but tomorrow we're going to play Among Us. So that's a big one. But so how's Destiny going?
Well, Destiny's good. It just came out recently, so I'm just playing Beyond Light, which is a new one. But the game I actually was talking about was Escape from Tarkov.
Oh
I
yeah.
play that game just put it in my veins.
Yeah, I've stopped by on the stream and it's pretty intense. It's so realistic, you know. For me, it's just magic, and I on and off played a little bit of Doom recently, actually, the old 1993 Doom, and
Mhm.
it's let's talk about the progenitors of these sorts of games. Doom. Fast forward to Tarkov, and the Tarkov looking through the scope, and there's the grass blowing, and
Oh
the
yeah.
sound of the boots on the different material, whether you're on the grass or the concrete or whatever. It's just amazing what games have evolved into.
It's absolutely blows my mind, and it's literally like changed my perception. Like when I'm outdoors in real life, like I will hear things and I will like think about it in like almost a Jason Bourne sense, you
Yeah.
know, and like just stuff like that. I even joked with my girlfriend. And I'm like, Tarkov is like we were taking a hike, and I was like, Tarkov is like if we're just walking through this beautiful area, but anybody could be anywhere trying to shoot at us, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, imagine how hard it would be to constantly scan everywhere and, be on like edge. And I'm like, that's what the game's like. And that's kind of the appeal for me, not that I want that to happen to me in real life. My point is, it's just like having the hyper awareness. It embodies meta, and that's a big reason. And let's bring this back around. That's a big reason why I like Magic, and I think we've talked about this once before. But you know how like they have the supercomputers that can beat you in chess, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they were the same people who were talking about trying to build a computer that could beat anybody in Magic the Gathering. And they were basically saying that if you were to pull from like Magic's full pull of cards and like there was no like, rules like standard or any of that kind of stuff, they were basically saying it'd be impossible to do because like there are just so many just so many different rules and different styles, et cetera, et cetera. And they said like basically this supercomputer couldn't grasp the meta
Yeah.
of 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 uh,
Of
Magic. So
Magic.
I thought that was pretty amazing.
I think it is, and it is amazing, and it is so true. If you do go with the card pool of 20,000 cards with so many interactions, old cards or modern cards, or even cards more recently, there's just so many possibilities. And there's even like the elements, if you're playing, especially in real life, bluffing. No, right? You don't have
Yep.
anything good in your hand, but you're still going to go all in as if you've got that cyclonic rift or something.
Or you hold mana back
Yeah.
like you have a counter, so they're not going to cast their bomb thinking you're going to drop the counter, and all you've been holding is a mana in your hand.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no supercomputer is going to be able to figure out bluffing for a long time. Hopefully, I don't want to be replaced by a computer. But Magic is definitely very, very complex. So Brawl is just another way to play. And like you said, you got back
Oh
into
wow, yeah.
things, and yeah, maybe check out some Brawl at some point, because it is when you I would the reason I would jump into Brawl once in a while is if I get tired of, like, I kind of see the same decks over and over on the ladder or whatever. Sometimes going over to Brawl, that's where I kind of see people, because it's not ranked. I do see people there kind of like experimenting with more weird things. I just was playing earlier today, and someone had, I don't know the name of it yet, but there's this new, I guess from Ikoria, there's this new green and white huge beast or something, that all it really does when it enters the battlefield is it lets you go get two lands, one plains, one forest. So I couldn't quite get what they were trying to do in that deck, but they had this commander. It was a 4-drop commander, and on turn 4, okay, go get two more lands. And they never really like got into anything huge, like, well, I'm getting 20 mana so I can bring out a big old XX 2020 creature or whatever. But whatever they were doing, they had a plan of, I'm going to make a deck, I'm going to put this commander, and here's my idea, here's my strategy. So that's one of the reasons I'm kind of liking Brawl whenever I want to decompress from like the rat race of the ladder.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Is it like explain to me Brawl a little bit though? Is it like
So it's basically it's multiplayer. It's two player on Arena. So we have two players at the moment. Hopefully one day
okay?
it'll be 4 player. But if you play it in real life, yeah, it's 4 player. It's kind of like Commander. It's just it's 60 cards instead of 100 cards. It's singleton, so
Hmm.
one of each. On a 2 player Brawl, you start with 25 life instead of 20 life. On a 4 player, you start with 30 life. There is legendary creatures as the commander, or planeswalkers as the commander. And that's the big difference. 60 cards, different life total. I think there. Oh, and there's no commander damage because the life totals are a little smaller instead of 40 life. So it's a lot like commander, but just ones of each. Start with a legendary creature and do shenanigans.
Okay, totally makes sense. Yeah, I totally get it now.
Yeah. Oh, any final thoughts on like your current Magic? What Magic is for you at the moment?
It to me, it's like a good blow off steam thing right now. I'm not taking it like super serious or anything like that. It's just something I'll log into. Like I said, do the dailies, which I always talk about. Do a couple drafts, make a fun deck, and just kind of like go all in on it and try to beat people up quickly. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's a game I'll always play. I played since literally fifth grade when I was given cards, and it's something that will always come back into my life no matter what I do. And it's basically on that wave again where it's coming back into my life right now. So I'm excited to
Yeah.
do it.
That's the thing that it seems like whether it's a short amount of time or a long amount of time, you may have left Magic, but Magic hasn't left you because it's still there and you can always come back to it. And now that it's digital, it's even there. Free download, just fire up your account and you're ready to play again. So let's talk about some new cards that are out that actually are not on Arena, but even though the show is a focus on Arena, it's still all about Magic. So there's a brand new set coming very soon as of this podcast. All of the cards have been revealed. We've got Commander Legends. So this is a brand new set with like literally like 300 cards that are some are reprints, some are new, and it's just a big love letter to Commander. This year, apparently Wizards is decreeing it the year of Commander. So many new Commander centered cards. There's a whole Commander set. There's some Commander precons that are coming out, that have come out, that will come out. So it's all Commander all the time. So that's some of the some cards. So that's the new set that's coming out soon. You picked a few cards to talk about. You want to talk about the first one that caught your eye?
So yeah, I kind of went. I looked at the link you showed me, and I kind of went like from the bottom up. I don't know why I did that. It's kind of weird. But I was looking at, and it kind of made me start with a couple artifacts. And though they might not be the most powerful, and I get it's like a commander base set, and I'm not like super familiar with commander, so I don't think I didn't pick cards that I knew would be great for the set. I just kind of picked cards that I thought were super interesting, and I like how
Yeah.
they play.
Hmm.
So one of them is called Universal Solvent. It's an artifact. It's actually only a 1-drop. But then you pay 7, tap the artifact, and destroy target permanent. And that's all it says. And it's a common. And I know, you know, everybody loves the rares and everything, but I just feel like, at that point, you're probably going to have 7 mana that you can burn. If you don't have cards you can play, you can literally just start pinging things across the board. I thought that would be a really fun card to play. And it's kind of interesting because the card art is like a rogue agent dropping like little drips of something into like something that's turning it into a smoke. And I
Yeah.
thought that was just I really like the whole vibe of the card. And it said a few drops of this and the trickiest problems simply melt away. So I thought it was a fun card. Again, I don't know how powerful it would be. It's common, but I just think like if you can just literally destroy target permanent, which is a very, very broad word in Magic, and I love when it says permanent because it's just like kill anything.
Yeah. I like that pick. Actually, it I have used it in real life. That one was has previously been printed. I'm looking it up here. It was in Kaladesh, which that's coming to Arena. Actually, it just debuted today as we record this. But Kaladesh was the artifact set from a few years ago, so first printed there. So very interesting card, right? It's a 1 mana artifact, but then 7 to destroy, as you said, a permanent. So people forget permanents include lands as well. So you can do the meanest thing in Magic. Let's rank the meanest things. Number 1, destroying lands. Number 2, mill. What else do you think is the meanest? Counterspells. Number 3, right?
Yeah, which is why I like red, because red has a lot of land destruction, and I always thought that was a very interesting concept because like how awful, like even though usually land destruction has a high cost, so you can't play it till later. Like how mean is it, especially if somebody's like mana starved to just start, Well, now you
Yeah.
have 2 mana, and we're at like turn 20, so good luck with that. But
Yeah. And it's interesting to think about the evolution of land destruction because back when I played in the late '90s, there was a card called Sinkhole, which was a black sorcery. I think I don't think it was an instant, but it was a sorcery. 2 black mana, destroy target land. The end, and it was in black. So
Yeah.
that was pretty epic. And there was also, of course, good old Strip Mine, which is a land that you could then
Yep.
destroy, tap itself to destroy any land. Nowadays, they make it more fair with like destroy your land, but then you get a land back and they destroy non basic land and all of that. It's way too nice. Back in the day, it was 2 black mana, destroy your land, or Strip Mine, destroy your land. So,
Yep. Good luck with that, bud.
yeah. So, Universal Solvent. I like it. I've used it in real life. And yeah, very cool art on that as well. So, one of the ones that I picked, I did go. Am I being too obvious? I did pick some cats for this conversation, and the one that I went with was so after Dominaria, Magic started to incorporate more uncommon legendaries. So this is an uncommon legendary
Oh
cat.
wow.
Let me send it over here to you, just so you can check it out as well. This is Felthus, Shadow Familiar. This wins my pick for many reasons. One is that art is like hilarious and amazing. It's like some weird nightmare demonic cat, like thin and emaciated with huge ears and glowing purple eyes, so I love it. And then the name, Falthus, Shadow Familiar, that's amazing. And then the type line is a nightmare cat. Okay, so what does it do? It's a 2/2. Commanders you control have menace and death touch. So again, it's not like over the top powerful. People love the rares, the and the mythics and all of that, but this is a fun kind of card to also do some sort of shenanigans with, giving your commanders death touch because it can partner. So partner is the ability to play 2 commanders as long as they each have partner. So you can have this cat plus something else, and you've got like maybe your big, strong, tough-looking commander, and then you've got this like little cat. But then it's also pretty cool because it's a nightmare cat giving everything menace and death touch. Your commanders, that is.
I was actually going to ask you about partner because that was one of the questions I had for you. Like,
Mhm.
and I mean, it totally makes sense, but yeah. So it just means you have 2 commanders, and you can choose which one you want to play, essentially.
They're both hanging out in the command zone, actually. And if you've got the mana for it, yeah, and if you've got the mana for it, you can play them both out at the same time or whatever. But they both have to have partner, so you can't. Actually, wait a minute. Partner, you can have 2 commanders if both have, yes, exactly. So they both need partner. You can't combine this with any other run of the mill
Correct.
legendary card. So they've both got to have partner, and then you get 2 commanders at once.
I absolutely love the art, and I knew you were going to pick a cat. So actually, if we can, I picked out a cat card for you as well.
All right, go for it.
Um, Scrounging Bandar. It is actually a cat monkey, which I thought was it's one colorless and one green. And Scrounging Bandar enters the battlefield with 2+1/+1. At the beginning of your upkeep, you could move any number of +1/+1 onto another creature. I'm gonna send you.
Oh, I'm looking at it here, and that was gonna be my pick of not to pick because I kind of don't like this card, and just because of the art, it's like too weird for me. It's like this
Oh, so you
weird,
already looked it up. Okay.
this weird monkey cat with like lynx ears, and it's holding some keys with its tail. Like this, the art freaks me out. So I was not gonna pick this, but thank you for picking it for me and thinking of the cat guy. So thanks.
I had to. I purposely picked the weirdest one I could possibly find because I really just I love. There's a lot of like there's like the shark, octopus, crab, or
Yeah.
whatever, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of creatures that are like quite interesting in terms of their names. And I thought cat monkey was one that I never thought I would see together.
Yeah. I think the concept of it is pretty cool, but just something about that art, it just makes me feel weird. So if it was like maybe cuter looking art or something, imagine like the head of that Falthus card and then the body of a monkey, but maybe not a monkey that is so humanoid. I think also I have this weird thing in the back of my mind that like the more humanoid, the more human-like apes that they are, the more they make me feel weird. And then it's like I like the monkeys that look like monkeys, a little more
Too
monkey.
close, a little too close to home for you.
Yeah, too close to our part of the evolutionary chain. So it's just like some weird psychological thing that I have. So this card is hitting all of those things, like this weird monkey, and it's got a cat head, and it's stealing my keys. Weird.
Anyways, I saw that and I thought of you. So.
Yeah. So If I'm playing that Falthus card plus with a green commander, then the Scrounging Bandar could be part of the squad because, cats plus cats. So that's the type of deck I tried to build.
I feel like there's like some good there's a couple blue or blue green cards that allow you to add counters onto creatures, and if you can
Mm-hmm.
just start stacking creature counters on this creature, and then you can
Mm-hmm.
move them around as you may. I mean, it's just interesting. I just picked it because it was a cat monkey.
We forgot to say this, but uh, were you aware that this new Commander Legends is also designed in a way that's supposed to be draftable?
I did not. So
Yeah. So so that's it. You're supposed to it's like gonna be like draft, but it's all like focused towards commander. So I forgot to check the complete rules, but I believe you are able to take two cards on your first pick, something like that. And so it is, you're supposed to build a commander deck in draft out of this new product. You're supposed to do a 60 card deck out of it. You know how you do regular draft and you make a
yeah,
40 card deck instead of a standard 60? Well, this is a commander deck that you do out of this product. And a couple of other changes are
makes
also it's not limited to one of each like regular commander because then that's too much of a stipulation. So there's a few changes, but you're supposed to build a commander deck out of this product in a draft format.
it makes sense because they make a lot of their money off selling boxes, right? Like
Hmm.
even me and my friend, like on a Friday night, we would be like hanging out and be like, "You guys want to throw it out on a box?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
everybody put like $20 and we just do a draft or whatever. Like I feel like, and then when I would go to the shops, I would see groups doing that 2-3 times a night. You
Yeah.
know, to buy 2, 3, 4 boxes, and like not only does it help the local shops, but it also I think that's where they make a lot of their money. And I feel like if they see you know, if they
Hmm.
see a want, they're gonna fill a need or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's a interesting direction to go to. I think it's no, I get it. I think in terms of Wizards is going to figure out ways to keep Magic players happy, and one way is people like to open boxes, especially with friends, and just like you said. So they're thinking probably let's combine Commander, which appears to be very popular, and let's combine drafting, which appears to be popular, and let's combine people playing with friends, which appears to be popular. So let's put all of that together, and here we've got a new product, Commander Legends. So the Scrounging Bandar, which you probably wouldn't really pick it in if you're trying to do a real commander deck out of a pool of 20,000 cards. But
Yeah,
if you're doing a draft, this is going to be pretty cool because you've got these counters that you could move around onto
yeah.
other things that could maybe you put a counter onto something that's a flyer now with double strike. So this little cat monkey doesn't need that counter anymore. It's getting chump block on the ground. So pass one or two of those counters to your flyer or your evasive creature.
And what you can do is just move both of those +1/+1 counters off of it and kill it off because you hate the picture anyways.
Yes, that's gonna be my strategy. Its only purpose in life is to die. That's too that's
Awesome,
that's too
awesome.
dark. But yes.
I,
So
I totally get what you're saying.
all right. So
I actually had another artifact I was going to talk about,
yeah.
which kind of ties into the universal solvent. It's called Niven Nierl's Disc. I might have pronounced that wrong, but it's also an artifact. It's actually a 4-drop, and you pay 1, tap, and destroy all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments.
Yeah, you might have pronounced it a little off, but so has everyone else for the last 25 years because this card actually has been around. Let me look at it
I
here.
believe it.
All the way back since this has been around since Alpha apparently. So that's
Wow.
1993. This card's been I thought it was like a little later than that, but yeah, this card's been around since a long time. Now, the thing about it is that I pronounce it Nevinyrall, which who knows if that's
There you
right,
go.
but it's an anagram for the author Larry Niven,
Oh, I see it. Okay.
and
As soon
so
as you say that, that
so
makes sense.
people so people just call it Larry Niven's disc or Larry's disc because who can pronounce it Nevinyrall or however you pronounce it. But yeah,
Got it.
that's a really cool artifact. That's again
I'm glad I picked that one.
just like universal solvent. Yeah, this is a literal like reset button. If things aren't going my way, it's like let's start all over. There go your artifact creatures and enchantments. Let's keep going.
Yeah, but there go mine as well
Yeah.
as this disc.
Hmm. It's not in this set, but there is that one Teferi's Protection white instant card that phases out all your stuff. So I guess what you could do is Nevin Ural's disc, tap it to start to destroy things, and then give all of your things indestructible with Teferi's Protection, and then you save your stuff. But that's too mean.
Okay, yeah. I when I looked at it, I was like, that's really strong.
I like the art on that.
Unnecessary. Yeah, the art as well, like the art that goes out past the borders is pretty cool as well.
It's like everything's collapsing upon itself, and they have so much power in their hand. And this is, yeah, an example of a classic card that's been around 25 years, where it's a 4 casting cost, but its ability is just one more generic mana, although it does have the safety of coming in tapped. So this is a rare card, and the ultimate reset button. Okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
Do you find yourself going maybe towards some of these like weirder cards that really mess with your opponent? I know you said you like mill, which is a great way to mess with the opponent, but what about other things throughout your Magic history? Do you like messing with the opponent?
Yeah, I think it's fun. I just, like I said, I guess throwing curveballs at my opponent is fun to me,
Yeah.
especially when people like get so serious and stuff about the game or whatever. So when you kind of can, I guess, maybe bring them out of their shell, showing them a different style of game, I
Hmm.
think it's great. Now, I also think a lot of the time you get stomped
Yeah.
because meta's meta for a reason,
Yeah.
and I understand it. But if you can catch them looking, it's always fun.
Yeah. Go out of the beaten path of the usual, so that's fun to jazz it up. Well, my
Uh,
next card here, let me pass it over there, is a
I was hoping it was my next card for you. Go ahead.
totally swole cat commander over here, Prava of the Steel Legion. Like, I hope to have abs like that one day, but I guess I have to do a lot of crunches. So this is one white, two generic, legendary creature, cat soldier. This is another one of these uncommons. Like I mentioned a moment ago, the other cat I picked, Wizards has gone in on another set of uncommon legendaries. Legendaries have pretty much always been rare or mythic because they're like so legendary. But then with Dominaria, they shifted a little bit to put uncommon legendaries, and they brought some of that back for this set. So here we have the
Didn't
uncommon.
they? Didn't they? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Didn't they do uncommon planeswalkers as well? In War of the Spark, was it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They took that type of card, which was originally, I think, always mythic, and then they put it to all levels. Here's a mythic, a rare, or uncommon planeswalker. So, what do you think in general about that? About taking these cards that were originally at such a high rarity because they were so powerful, and then like making them also into rares and uncommons?
I think I'm fine with that. I feel like the loyalty counters that came with them corresponded to their worth, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Also, a lot of the ones that were uncommon only had, like, you know what I mean, one static ability and one pay ability, and
Yeah.
then you would either have to have a creative way to give loyalty counters back to them, or they die pretty quickly.
Mhm.
So I think they did a good job balancing it, personally.
I read a lot of Mark Rosewater's articles or listen to his podcast, and he's talked about that when they were trying to figure out, well, we usually put 2 or 3, maybe 4 planeswalkers in a set, and here we were going to go with all 30 whatever of them. We had to figure out what we needed to do so that we didn't completely break everything, and through a lot of collaboration, they figured out, okay, the like just like you said, static abilities and only pay abilities so that they don't get out of hand, and you have to do other ways to give them loyalty abilities. So I, there's just so many big brains working at the company to figure out all of these various play patterns and keep adding to and iterating and improving and changing this game that's been around 27 years.
If not, they ban it.
That's the Nevin Ural's disc approach then.
Correct. And I mean, nothing's ever going to be perfect, and they're never going
Yeah,
to get it right. But I figure the people that make the game know it the best for the most part, and
yeah.
if their internal play testing shows that this is really good or this isn't or whatever, they're going to fix it. And
Mm,
I think they did a good job with it. There were a couple cards that came out of War of the Spark that were a little OP, but other than that, I
mm,
think they did a really good job of like containing it.
I have a fondness for that set because that was when I think when they went into this new age of Magic in terms of remember the trailer? Everyone loved that trailer.
I do. We actually recorded a podcast right around the time together when that came
Yeah.
out. So we had like a whole reaction and all that, and it was awesome. I really, really, really enjoyed it, and I continue to enjoy what they're doing.
Yeah, so that was kind of like a new turning point, a cool trailer to get your attention, planeswalkers at different levels, just oh, and then like the epic story of Bolus is wrecking everything. So that's kind of hard to believe that that was already back in 2018, April 2018, I believe. Sound about right?
Yeah, it does, and it kind of just like brings it back around to here where you have this uncommon legendary creature cat soldier that's pretty strong.
Yeah, I like it that it says as long as it's your turn, creature tokens you control get +1/+4. So even your like lowly, let's say you made a bunch of plant tokens with that recent card Phylath, which are 0/1 plants. And let's say you've got Prava out. So those 0/1 plants are now 2/5s, and they're not walls, so they could be attacking, and you're overrunning your opponent with weeds. Whatever tokens you have, these tokens are huge, and it's sort of like a static ability, kind of. Now, it does then have a an activated ability without a tap, so as long as you've got the mana for this, you can do it over and over. Basically, you pay 4, and you create a 1/1 soldier creature token. Now, I do have to call out Wizards of the Coast. I hope someone gets hot fired for this. Why are they not cat soldier creature tokens? They're human soldier creature tokens.
Yeah, there's even enough room for the text on the card, so it's not like you could say that they ran out of room for text. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's not...
Yeah, so I'll just draw little cat ears because I'm looking also at the actual official token, and it's a pretty cool looking guy, and he's a soldier token and such. But I'll just draw little cat ears so I can pretend that Prava actually made cat soldier creatures. But anyway, 4 mana to make tokens, and all of those tokens get +1/+4. So I thought this was a pretty fun card. It's got partner, so you can partner this cat plus the other cat and do some black and white cat commander shenanigans.
Yeah. Um, Actually, speaking of black cats,
Mhm.
I picked one more cat for you that I liked.
Mhm.
Hopefully, this one like tickles your fancy a little more. This is the Rakshasa Debaser, and whenever this is a creature cat demon. It's a 6 cost, 2 black, 4 colorless. Whenever Rakshasa Debaser attacks, put target creature from defending player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control.
Mhm.
It's a 6/6, and it has an encore of 8, 6 colorless, 2 swamps. And
Mhm.
basically exile this card from your graveyard for each opponent. Create a token copy that attacks that opponent this turn. If able, they gain haste. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step,
Mhm.
and only when you can do sorceries. I particularly like this card because there's a couple things going on here. Rakshasas in D&D lore, their hands are backwards, actually. So I
Ah.
don't know why in this picture that one is not having backwards hands. But at the same time, I don't know, what are they mounting and killing? Is that another cat or some sort of bear creature? Because I'm not sure.
I'm looking at the closer up of it, which is not completely clear, but I right away thought it was a dog just to do the
Oh,
classic
okay, that
cats
makes sense.
versus dogs sort of thing. Because I think that I see a dog with its like little tongue out also, like the classic cartoon I'm dead sort of expression with the tongue out. And in my mind, that's what that is. Rakshasa is debasing this poor dead dog, and all of its energy is floating out, all of its purple energy, and its tongue is flopping out. So that's what I think is in the art.
So how pure are you with your cat decks? Can they have cat demons and cat monkeys? Or is it
Yes.
just going to be... Okay.
Yeah, anything that is a cat, if they want to be an honorary cat, we'll take them in as well.
Oh,
But
wow,
I'm gonna
okay.
go with cat demons, cat monkey cats, and cat nightmares. What other kinds of cats do we have? Those are the big ones, I think. But maybe are there any like cat constructs or something like mechanical cats? Yeah, we'll take them all.
Got it. Got it. All inclusive group. I'm proud.
Yeah. I've been having fun. A little a little side detour. Did you ever see that card in which set was it? But Rin and Seri, that one cat dog card.
Oh, no, I did not, and that was one of my. I liked that show.
Yes.
Growing up, I was a fan of Cat Dog.
Let me send it to you here. Rin Seri. This was one of these buy a box ones. Here you go right here if you don't have it. This was a buy a box, and what set was it? It was oh, M21. So I thought this was really cool. It's a cat and a dog, and if you see there, it's a legendary creature. Now this is the flavor fail. Dog cat. Well, we all know it was Cat Dog, the TV show, the cartoon show, right?
Correct. Okay, okay.
Why didn't they put it Cat Dog just to follow along with what everyone knew about the show? But Rin and Seri inseparable, and it's a couple of cute. It's a cat and a dog, and they're all. I was talking to another guest on a previous episode. If you look carefully, like even like their little paws are their hands are at it, each other, like they're boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever, or in a relationship. They're like really cute together, and they're looking off and having their family portrait taken. So really fun card in three colors, Naya, I believe, and it does a lot of fun stuff. You summon a dog, you get a cat, or you summon a cat, you get a dog, and then you pay those Naya colors, and then it does damage to any target based on the number of dogs you have, which counts itself, and then you gain life based on the number of cats. So I've made a brawl deck out of that, and on that one it's the cats plus the dogs deck.
That's awesome.
And it's a really
That's
fun flavored card, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I like it. It's like the dog and the cat that met and hated each other at first, and then you walk in the house when you come home from work, and then you notice they're cuddled up together, and you're like, you.
Yeah. So I like that range of magic can be like tough and badass and all of that, but it could also be cute and funny and fluffy and furry. And I think there's a little bit of everything for everyone if they, especially in the last several years, they've tried to be magic has tried to be that much more inclusive that it's not just like the big tough warriors and all of that. It's a little bit of everything.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan.
So I like that Rak Rak Rakshasa. You said its arms are is it its hands or its whole arms are backwards in D&D?
Just the hands. So in D&D, Rakshasas have backwards hands. So
Hmm.
just spin your arms. I mean your hands 180, and
Yeah.
that's what they have. I don't know. My buddy always told me that when we played D&D together, and it
Hmm.
was kind of like a bad fate
Ah, okay.
for for whoever that happened to.
Hmm.
He didn't want to really be a Rakshasa, but I
Well,
might be.
this one's got a bad fate for your opponents as well because okay, like we said, 6 mana, it's a 6/6, with a brand new mechanic of Encore. So this one's new, and it's creating a copy of itself to attack all of your opponents, and then it exiles. So you get one more Encore, one more stab at it with this creature. It's a lot of mana, but obviously for the later game when you've built a lot of mana, you can send a 6/6 to all your opponents and then the ability put target creature from defending player's graveyard to the battlefield under your control. So this is really fun. Thanks for picking this one because it showcases the new mechanic and then it does some fun stuff of messing with your opponent, stealing the stuff out of the graveyard. I One of the things that I like to do to mess with the opponents when I play Magic is steal their stuff. I like some of that control magic where you steal their own creature or their own spell or whatever. So that was a good pick here.
Yeah, I like that. I especially like things like create a copy or a token copy of a creature your opponent controls and that kind of stuff. It's really fun to me as well.
Hmm.
I just sent you a link just so you can see the backwards handed cat. So it makes some
Oh,
sense.
okay. Yeah, that's that on the one hand, pun. On the one hand, you don't notice it's too weird, but then when you actually look at it, like that is very, very weird. So this one looks
I don't
pretty regal with his incense and everything. That's cool. I was just gonna note, Trampier 77. Is that possibly like actually from art from 1977, perhaps?
know. I would believe so, yes.
Hmm. Okay. So let's see. I think where's my list? I have one more. Um, So the
If you have one more, I have one more as well, which is my actual card that I picked that
yeah,
I
I've got
love.
my last one right here. So the last cat that I picked that caught my attention. This one's a rare armored sky hunter. So it's 4 mana. I should send that to you. It's 4 mana. It is a flying cat. So that's fun when those are around. Is a cat knight. Although I've noticed on a few arts a few times that sort of like the focus of things isn't too obvious because when I see just the art of this, I see like a big old pterodactyl or whatever. But the creature is the cat knight on its back, so it's sort of like I sort of feel like this card art is focusing more on the steed than the rider. But anyway, this is a 3/3 flying cat knight, and it's got a huge wall of text, but it's pretty interesting because it lets you, when it attacks, you look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put an aura or equipment directly onto the battlefield and then attach it if it's an equipment. So I like this in terms of if you've built a deck with artifacts, with equipment. I like equipment. I kind of like the nature of them. This reusable weapon. So if you built a deck that synergizes with equipment, you're attacking with this in the air, and oftentimes maybe the opponent might not have some kind of air defense. Then you can auto equip that cool weapon, that cool equipment onto the Sky Hunter and do a little bit more damage, or to any one of your other creatures. So that's my third pick.
I absolutely love that card, especially for the art, because I completely get what you're saying. It looks like the creature is the focal point.
Yeah.
But then when you look up and you look at her, it's a female cat that's dual wielding two very sharp looking swords.
Yeah.
And that's not something I want to I wouldn't want to step to.
Yeah. It is really cool art because you see a lot of the details. I'm looking at the close up as well. It appears like she's wearing some very interesting sort of helmet that is also like very pointy, just to re-emphasize. Okay, I've got sharp blades. I've got a sharp helmet, but if I lose all of that, I've got sharp claws and sharp teeth. And there's also like cool flags behind her, and then there's more of them flying around with like a cool moon or sun or something, and pretty cool art. Who did this one?
I'm a big fan.
Demon Rook. Rook. So yeah, very cool.
Yeah, yeah, Denman Rook.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I have for you the card that I was most interested in easily when I saw this, and then I had a few questions about. So I'm going to send it to you right now. And that card is Yuriko, the Tiger's Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a legendary creature, human ninja.
Mm-hmm.
It has Commander Ninjutsu. Pay 1 blue, 1 black. Return an unblocked attacker you control to hand. Put this card onto the battlefield from your hand or the command zone tapped and attacking.
Mm-hmm.
So, whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, reveal the top card of your library and put that card in your hand. Each opponent loses life equal to that card's converted mana cost.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've talked about in the past, like my favorite set is Kamigawa and all the ninjas and the
Yeah.
samurais, and I really loved everything about that. Here's a couple problems I have with this card. One, there is literally not another ninja in this whole set. I looked through all the cards. So are you required to run older cards? You know what I mean?
No, it should be fine because if we look at the flavor or the reminder text, it says return an unblocked attacker you control. So it doesn't seem to rely on ninja. We were just used to in Kamigawa that there were so many ninja. We were used to that. Okay, I attack with a ninja. I'm gonna ninjutsu out another creature onto it. But because there aren't any ninja in Commander Legends, and it's not in that reminder text, it is not dependent on a ninja to do her trick.
Okay. That being said, then would I be able to put other ninjas in this deck, even though they're not in this set?
If you're doing the draft, or if you're drafting Commander Legends, no, because there aren't any cards
Yeah.
to draft. But if you're playing any other format besides drafting Commander Legends, then yes, you should be able to.
Gotcha. Okay. That was my question because, and then does using the Commander Ninjutsu count, I guess, as putting like spending the mana to play your commander. Does that make sense? So don't you need to pay more each time you play your commander?
No, because this is a replacement effect. The regular casting cost on the top right corner, that's what we
Yep.
use to then add the commander text to. But this is replacing the effect of the main casting cost. So you would be able to ninjutsu it in, but see,
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of defeats itself in that, okay, in original Kamigawa you don't know, are they gonna ninjutsu in another ninja. If you've got this in the command zone, people know it's in the command zone and they know you can pay that too if something goes in unblocked. So it's sort of like not as sneaky as she could be because you see her in the command zone. So you're not adding the extra 2 commander tax every time you pay the commander ninjutsu because you're paying an alternate cost.
Got it. So so the takeaway from that is okay.
And it also notice what it's saying. Technically, okay, it says Commander Ninjutsu, one blue, one black. In parentheses, it fully spells out, which means one blue, one black, comma, return an unblocked attacker. So the casting cost that you're paying for is a blue and a black and a return a creature. It's technically not looking at or caring at that you're paying the casting cost of Yuriko from her main casting cost. The casting cost is one blue, one black,
Yep.
return a creature. So that never cares about the commander tax.
That's what I thought, and I thought that was like a bonus to the card. But then I kind of see the drawback in the and the thing that people can read what you're doing essentially. So,
Yeah.
but then
Oh,
there's the RNG of like what your card is, on the
yeah.
top card of your library, because that can actually be pretty significant, especially if you're running a couple bombs in there, something with like a high casting cost.
Yeah, exactly.
It can actually be a 1/3 that puts down 7 to 10 damage depending on what's next.
And it also depends on what kind of game you're playing. If it's a one-on-one, well, there's less trickiness you could do. But if you're playing a four-player game, well, just attack the person that has no blockers, and then you'll get that trigger.
Hmm. So I guess my excitement was just seeing another ninja in the deck, and
Yeah.
especially a new one. Um, and then I guess you completely answered my questions, which is why you're my magic guru, because I needed to know that. And I pretty much assumed like, no, you didn't pay the tax, but I didn't know how it would work. And then I assumed you didn't need to have another ninja, and it said unblacked attacker. I understand that, but like I was thinking, well, if you're not playing this particular set and you're just playing in general, like, can I just stack ninjas into my deck, and then
Hmm.
whenever a ninja, you know what I mean? Like, so any other
Yeah.
ninja I have just attacks, then I'm able to do that as well. Well, that would be very strong.
Yeah. Yeah. I think outside of this draft set, I think this is a very, very strong card, definitely. So yeah, stack those ninjas and have them do their thing.
It's just funny because I went to a specialty shop around me, and I bought like a Kamigawa set, and it's just like a 40 card set, and there's like only one decent ninja in the whole set. But like,
Hmm.
I'm just thinking how fun it would be to be able to play that, because then I can just like sneak in all these other cards and
Yeah.
just have fun, as we were talking about earlier, rather
Yeah.
than being meta.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's interesting. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that? Did you do that recently or at some point? When did you get that? That.
Not too long ago, and give me 2 seconds. I actually have the set right here. Hold on.
Oh, sure.
So it has a cute little deck box. It came with cardboard deck box. It just says Magic the Gathering Expert level, and then it says Betrayers of Kamigawa Ninjutsu. I spent a bit of money. It's not like it was a really expensive set. I just thought it was really cool, and I wanted it because I love ninjas and samurais and that kind of stuff. Um, it's got the whole insert with how to play a ninjutsu deck, etc., etc.
Hmm.
And then I believe the cards that people liked were Ninja of the Deep Hours. Again, as ninjutsu, unblock attacker. So again, it never needed ninjas. I don't know why I thought that. And then this one says whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card, which can be awesome, of
Yeah.
course. And then as I'm just going through here, there's just so many different ninjas. Whenever Mistblade Shinobi deals combat damage to a player, you may return target creature that player controls to its hand, which is kind of nice. And there's more of them than one in the set. Then again, another Ninjas of the Deep Hours. Here we go. Walker of Secret Ways. Whenever Walker of Secret Ways deals combat damage to a player, look at that player's hand. You can pay 2 and return target ninja you control to its owner's hand. Play this ability only to your turn, so you can save your ninjas. They can like escape.
I looked I looked up that card in the site, and that art is really cool. I like her pose and like the colors, and then the I don't know if those are I guess those are like painted trees back there, and I just love how this one is looking. Scott Fisher is the artist, so cool classic art.
And what I do notice now is there are a couple of creatures in here like Moonfolk that
Oh
are
yeah.
now in this same commander set we've been talking about. They brought Moonfolk back for that too. So
Hmm.
it kind of, I feel like they are like, there's like shades of Kamigawa coming back. But I don't know. I feel like maybe in the future there'll be a full Kamigawa set again and they'll go back to this.
Well, that's the funny thing that again, going back to like Mark Rosewater's blogs and stuff, he does talk about that very high up on the list of please let's return to XYZ. Kamigawa is often like first or second or third place. People want to definitely go back to it, but he kind of explains that the original set is what he calls too parasitic, that it really only works with itself. It doesn't work with the other 20,000 cards of Magic. And I guess they kind of value a lot that you make one card in one set and it should work with many other sets, but apparently they feel that those original cards were too stuck in the Kamigawa block. But it kind of then surprises me that they perhaps haven't figured out how can we do modern versions of these cards that would be more non-parasitic while still, I guess that's the balancing act, right? Keep it like the flavor of original Kamigawa with ninjutsu and shinobi and all of that, and make it open enough so that it works throughout the history of Magic.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting because I'm staring right now at one of the first like flip cards that has 2 sides on it.
Yeah.
Or not 2 sides, but if
Top and
you look
bottom.
at it, one, yeah, exactly. So student of the elements and or Tobita master of winds, and it's either student of elements has flying. When it has flying, flip it, and then creatures you control have flying. So you have to assign flying to it somehow to make that happen. But I thought that was interesting that so early was one of those cards that you can flip, you know?
Yeah, that's their first foray into trying to make flip cards where it was the top and bottom, and I do remember him saying that those were very hard to read because obviously they are correct on either way you look at them, but there is one correct way about them where the artist's name is at, and they had to move the Kamigawa logo down to the bottom right instead of in the center like we'd be used to it, right? So there was like visually a lot of confusion about this card looks way too confusing. But I thought I'm looking at it right now, and it's interesting where they try to also in the art they have the feather, they have the wing in between that is separating
Mm-hmm.
the top part with the upside down part, and you can actually click here to flip it so I can see. Oh, it's like a little, yeah, it's the same guy, and he's like got a lot of hair, I guess, and flying. So yeah, Kamigawa. I don't doubt they'll come back to it, but
I have the best card in the set right here in my hand. It took me a second to look for it.
yes.
It's Higuri, the Still Wind, and it's a legendary creature, human ninja, ninjutsu, 2 colorless, 2 blue, same deal.
Mhm.
Whenever Higuri deals combat damage to a player, you may search your library for another ninja card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. If you
Hmm.
do, shuffle your library, and then pay 2 colorless. Target ninja is unblockable this turn.
Mhm.
So you would use that, with like a Ninja of the Deep Hours, so you can draw cards, etc., etc. And I totally get what this deck's trying to do. I feel like you need a couple more copies of Higuri and etc., etc., because it only comes with one,
Yeah.
and so it was a little kind of a little rough. But on a whole, I really like the set. The art is incredible. The mana is crazy. It's got that Asian vibe, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. And I'm staring at them in my hand, and I donated most of my old Magic cards from like because I talked to you about a bunch about how like I got back into Magic with like Theros and Journey into Nyx and that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
and I bought like so many boxes at that point that I donated a lot of those cards. But this is one
Yeah.
of the things that I bought from the specialty shop, and I've kept the whole time. So
That's
And it's
cool.
not very expensive or anything. It's just cool to me, you know.
Well, that's a lot of the things that we enjoy is nostalgia. So you're looking back at these cards that you first played with years and years ago, right? What are the copyrights on those? 2005. So
Uh,
that was
yeah.
15 years ago. That was, a half a lifetime away. So we have the film of nostalgia on our lives, and you must have had good feelings about these cards and how interesting they were and the art and playing with friends, and it's good to kind of hold on to it to get a piece of it again later, all of this time later.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even speaking of Commander, the one Commander set I have, do you remember when they sold those big Commander boxes and they came with the
Yeah.
giant card?
Hmm.
Yeah, I have the evasive maneuvers set still to this day and completely sleeved, like barely played. And it's actually retained some value at this point, but I have the giant foil card still.
Yeah.
Got Derevi, Imperial Tactician, Rune of the Hidden Realm, and Robinia Soul Singer are the
Hmm.
three giant cards. But those are the couple things that I've retained over my Magic career, as it were. And just because they're cool. This one actually retains a little value. The Betrayers is just for coolness.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Um, Again, Magic evolving over time, and still, we might leave Magic, but Magic's always there if we ever want to come back.
So I actually have questions for you on a couple cards while I was looking and researching up for this set. I saw a couple cards that kind of had me, pose a couple questions in my brain.
Yes.
So one is Horizon Stone. It's a 5-drop artifact. It says if you would lose unspent mana, that mana becomes colorless instead. Now, am I dumb, or do you just get to stack mana for your pocket if you have that card out, or do you lose it at the end of your turn like you normally
Let's
would?
see. Let me look at it also here. If you would lose unspent mana, it does not seem to say that it goes away at the end of the turn. I would think that it would explicitly say that it would go away. So, a normal game of Magic, we're automatically going through the various steps of our turn. There's untap, upkeep, draw. So, if let's say I tap a mana rock in my upkeep phase, my upkeep phase ends, untap, upkeep, draw. Okay, I go to the draw phase. I didn't spend my mana in my upkeep phase. It goes away. It went to my next phase. So this lets you keep it through all of your phases. If you tapped all your mana in your upkeep step or upkeep phase, you keep it through the rest of your turn. Now, it is a good question. Do you keep it when your turn ends? I would assume yes, because again, it doesn't explicitly. The normal rules is that when you get to your end phase of your turn, at the end of every phase, your mana goes away. This is subverting the normal rules of Magic. If you would lose unspent mana, and you lose mana at the end of every one of your phases, that mana becomes colorless. So it does seem like you can keep stacking mana, pocketing it, turn phase after phase, turn after turn.
Cool. That's what I thought. I mean, I know Magic is a very literal game, and I feel like that is kind of ambiguous, but at the same time, I just feel like you just get a bunch of colorless for your pocket, and
Yeah.
you can use it on whatever
Yeah.
requires colorless. So
Yeah, exactly. That's the stipulation. It stays as colorless. Now, I'm sure they haven't since the set has not released yet. They haven't released the official rules document, and I like looking at these once in a while. But I don't know if you've seen these are like literally like hundreds of pages that they release every time that a new set comes out, which has like the exact hardcore rules of like every card. And you would think even like simple stuff they wouldn't need extra rules, but it's such a complex game. So I don't doubt when this set officially reveals there's going to be 1,000-page document that explains everything. And this one, I'm sure it's going to say no, your mana doesn't run out as your turn runs out because of XYZ rule 7528 or whatever.
yeah, I've actually seen that on a couple different cards, I believe, especially on like Arena. I think I've seen people like have mana persist through turns. So it's kind
Yeah.
of
Hmm.
this would be my next one for you, my Magic guru.
Yes.
It's Obeka Brute Chronologist. So when can I tap Obeka? Is it only on my turn? And then if it says the player whose turn it is may end the turn.
Okay,
If I'm
so
forcing you, okay, go ahead.
exactly, you're not forcing anyone. You can tap this at any time. There isn't any clause about do this at sorcery speed or do this only on your turn. So you could tap this to attempt to end your opponent's turn because it says that player whose turn may end the turn. So this is definitely a politicking card for multiplayer. Like, okay,
Uh,
you're getting attacked with lethal damage. I could end the turn for you right now if you do something for me. So that's what this is about.
Gotcha. Okay. I was like so confused as to like why would you possibly want to let your opponent choose? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that confused me a bit. And now I okay. So I guess I've never like been into that realm of Magic, which is literally the gathering part of the whole thing. So I mean I've definitely gathered, but not in like a multiplayer setting. So I guess I've never run into something where it's like and then if that's the case, like you're openly talking about what you want to politic with against the other opponents that'll still be on the battlefield, like I'm sure that makes them feel some type of way and want to play you differently after that, right?
Sure, or you could also like whisper into their ear that there's like, when you're in real life you can play how you want and how the rest of the the table wants to play, but definitely if you're saying it out loud, I have been playing some of the people that I played in real life. We played Commander digitally through this website called Untap, and all the cards are
Hmm.
digital, and it's really interesting because it's
But that's not frowned upon, like whispering into somebody's ear, or is that just part of the game?
well, I was somewhat joking about the whispering part. I've never done that because when I've done the politicking with people, everyone is talking aloud and everyone does hear
Okay,
each other. And then yes,
I'm just curious.
some people do say like, "Hey, I don't like that deal. I'll make you a better deal." And other people say like,
Gotcha.
"Oh,
Okay.
why are you teaming up with them? I've got less life than them." So the social commander multiplayer aspect of things there, it is definitely a different world in terms of you're not playing 1v1 where 1v1 it's like, okay, depending how we're going to play, my main goal is to defeat you, right? But with a four player, yeah, I'm trying to defeat everyone, sure, but I know that I'm in four player. I know that I'm not doing this as competitively as a 1v1. Let's have a little fun and I'll make you a deal. And I know one of the things that I've liked and missed is playing in real life where if you say you love messing with people in Magic, imagine me messing with three people of my opponents. I've turned the game so many times by being like Lady Macbeth in someone's ear and really convincing someone to do something in my favor, and then of course at the end I win because I
I
politicked it the
like
right
it.
way. Yeah,
I guess I'm more intrigued at the fact that there has been a card built around that kind of thing. Does that make
yeah,
sense? Like I
yeah.
really, and that's kind of I guess a kudos to Magic because it might not be like again meta or super playable all the time, but if you're hanging out with buds and you can kind of like pull that card off, and
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy that kind of thing. So good for them.
Hmm. I love the art on this one. This was one of the ones I might have picked if I wasn't going straight down just the cat ticket. But I love the art on this one. She's got really cool red hair and then like blue skin and
Hmm.
shattering time, I guess. That's what I think is getting shattered. And then the
Yep.
flavor text, I'm bored with now. So this is a really fun card. It's legendary. Make a fun, very politicky type of deck with this legendary.
And here's my last one, and it's not super crazy. I'm wondering if it says Jessica, thrice reborn. It's a planeswalker. Enters the battlefield with a loyalty counter on it for each time you've cast a commander from the command zone this game. So you have to just remember how many times you've cast your commander. Is that something that's like easily tracked? I'm just curious. Like I said, I haven't played commander like basically ever. So
So So what happens is, okay, you've got your commander in the command zone, and then you summon it the first time, and however the opponents might remove it if they exile it or destroy it or whatever, you put it back in the command zone, and then you add the commander tax. You must now pay
that's right.
two
Okay, the
more.
tag. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm
So the
following.
tax will then, it's a little bit of math like, okay, now I've got to pay six commander. Okay, six divided by two is three. I've cast it three times. So there is that extra mental math to do, but there is that way that you're tracking number of times cast.
I guess I didn't even need to ask someone because it makes a lot of sense now. But hey, sometimes you gotta learn.
And this is an example of one of these. Um, one of these kind of rare cards in terms of it is a planeswalker with the rule at the bottom. Jessica can be your commander. So planeswalkers in regular commander cannot be the commander, the leader of
Which,
the deck.
yeah.
In Brawl, they can, but in Commander, they need an extra rule. They need a Planeswalker to say, this Planeswalker can be your commander. So it's one of the few rare. I think in total, there might only, before this set came out, there might have been like less than 10 in all of Magic that were Planeswalkers that could be commanders.
Hey, that's why I brought it up. Let's forget about the fact that I asked about a rule that made no sense. Just kidding. No, that's actually really cool. It's crazy that you kind of have to sit on the card until you you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cast your commander out. So otherwise, it comes out and dies immediately.
So let me look
You
at it
also
again.
cannot add loyalty counters to it. So that's kind of interesting as well.
Oh yeah, it's got a 0 and a minus X, so it enters with the loyalty for each time. It does well. I guess the math of it is counting. Well, it's gonna come in as a 1 loyalty the first time, and I guess it expects to be cast multiple times because if it has the stipulation to keep track, I guess you're supposed to play her. She's only 3 mana, so I guess you're supposed to play her right away as a 1 and then minus 1 deals X damage to each of up to 3 targets. So right away, okay, you pay 3, you summon her for, or you cast her for 1 loyalty, then you minus X1 right away. You deal 1 damage to all your opponents, and then you can summon her again and she comes back as a 2, I guess.
Okay. See, that's where I needed the clarification, and now I don't feel so bad about asking about this card because that does make sense. Like, okay, so she's kind of I mean, it makes sense, Red. You just kind of want to burn her and keep using her as much as you can afford it, and then
Hmm.
eventually she'll get to a point where you can either start murdering big boys, or it's got partner as well, so you can even pair it with
Yeah.
the cat you were talking about
Yeah.
earlier. And now it has, or I don't know why
Hmm.
you would want to give it Menace and Death Touch, but you know what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, well, it is weird and complicated, and I read a lot of these cards, not all of them, but the ones that were standing out when people were previewing them, and on some other podcasts, maybe the MTG Goldfish podcast, I think they were talking about it, so I think I gleaned a little bit what I'm telling you from what they were saying, but it is a complex game, but just like you said, it's kind of literal, reading the card explains the card, but there's so many stipulations that could happen and use corner cases and such that it does kind of help to bounce it off of people so that everyone tries to understand how it works.
Could you use the 0 and Ember Cleave and then give double triple damage?
Let's see, 0. Choose target creature until your next turn. If that creature would deal combat damage to one of your opponents, it deals triple. Yeah, because you've attached Ember Cleave onto a creature dealing damage, and this is saying when your creature deals damage, triple it. So yeah, you can get the triple from Jessica, and you get the double from Ember Cleave, and that's such a high number I can't even fathom it.
I was just thinking of dumb little things you could do with this. That seems like that would be fun. Obviously, it's not going to be in the draft set, but if you're playing a normal commander and you want your friends to suffer, I guess that would be a good way to
Yeah.
do so.
Well, I think that's the fun and that's the purity of Commander in terms of making these decks synergize, do fun things, dumb things. There's a few people in my play group of Commander that are starting to lean, unfortunately, a little bit too much of a like, I'm gonna optimize my deck so well with the best cards. But then I think they're losing a little bit of the flavor of Commander. Where here, the last time we played, I was just playing with a jank-ish vampire commander deck, and everything in there was vampires, and everything was leading towards vampires. So here, if you're trying to do like massive red damage, that'd be fun, right? Jessica does triple damage, makes your creature triple damage. Ember Cleave makes creatures double damage. And then if you have Fiery Emancipation, do you know that card there? Fiery.
Uh, I don't, but
Hmm.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, if you look that one up, that one is a red enchantment
Oh
that
yeah.
if a source you control would deal damage to a permanent, it deals triple damage. So that's a deck right there. Mono red, massive damage. You put Jessica, you put Embercleave, you put Fiery Emancipation and other.
And then you drop a Colossus Hammer on top of it, and
Yeah. Yeah.
plus 10, plus 10, and then goodbye forever.
Exactly. Now that's Commander.
You just have like a 50-50 swinging
Yeah.
creature.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't even matter that you start at 40 life in Commander if I'm doing triple damage with all my fun stuff.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, I thought that'd be fun.
Yeah. And this her art was one of the first arts that was revealed when they were first talking about Commander Legends like 6 months ago. You know, we're kind of always in hype mode nowadays in Magic, but there's always something new. And
Right. Seriously.
they put this art as one of the very first ones. They didn't say the name, they didn't say any ability, they didn't say anything, just this art, and she looks pretty epic. So then we finally got the reveal of what this card does just very recently. So Jessica, thrice born. Thrice reborn. Wait a minute, thrice reborn. Isn't reborn meaning you've already been born at least once? So is that a three times two born?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think that's a 6 situation going on there.
Yeah, math.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, cool. So we've definitely talked about a lot of great cards, and listener, listen to all of our advice, and you're gonna make some great decks.
Yeah, I think they'll have some fun, whether they they think what we're talking about is meta or not. I mean, if you really want to have some fun, I think that's what we're really aiming at,
Yeah,
and that's what this
exactly.
game's all about. It's all about the gathering. It's in the
That's right.
name.
Yes. All right, let's segue then into our third topic. You've got some cool news to share, don't you?
Yeah, I guess so. Recently I celebrated my 3-year stream anniversary, which I hate saying that word. I don't like. I really don't like it. I've been streaming
On
for
a
3 years.
scale of me hating it from one to Wiley Bandar, how much would you hate it?
Um, uh, 8, whatever 8 in Wiley Bandar talk would be.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah. Anyways, it was my 3 years stream anniversary. 3 years of streaming. Nothing big. I just kept it low key as my stream kind of is. I just had a good time with the people that hang out with me, my subscribers, all that kind of stuff. We just played games that I wanted to play because it was all about me, obviously. And no, we hung out. I didn't change anything, honestly. I didn't have crazy graphics, or I didn't make anything all different. I just I kind of kept it consistent in what I've been doing for the past 3 years. So it was a good time, and I appreciate anybody that came out and hung out. And
How long did you end up doing that stream?
uh um I think I did like 6 to 8 hours, something like that.
Hmm.
Um yeah, again, it was just like me just gaming and hanging out.
Do you ever go back to your old footage and see how far you've grown?
Absolutely. I mean, I just look at like what was important to me in the beginning
Mhm.
and what I show now, and like I had all the alerts and so many things that said this subscriber and this bits and all that kind of stuff, and I still
Yeah.
have those, and they're a little more low key, but I just realized like where my intentions lie with streaming a little more. Like I feel like a lot of streamers want to be the next big streamer ASAP.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you have to you're going to pay out of your pocket a lot when you start streaming. Um and it's basically that way. I feel like I wish I knew to focus on a YouTube before I really focused on streaming,
Mhm.
and just have like decently edited videos about whatever topic you want to talk about, and kind of get that going, because that helps not only drive people over to your Twitch stream, but it kind of gives you good basic content, especially with the volatile nature that is Twitch right now. Because
Yeah.
you just asked me if I look back at my old videos, like most of them are deleted or have to be deleted
Yeah.
because
The DMCA tech downs.
exactly. So I think even more now, having like a solid YouTube foundation will really help you. Whether you live stream there or not is not what I'm talking about. I'm just mean like having edited videos that have everything that you would want. Try to gain your followers there, and then when you stream, at first I thought I'm gonna focus on this one game and be the best at this game or this or that. Not only that is that very taxing mentally.
Mhm.
Um, it's just it's not sustainable, and a lot of the bigger streamers that I watch now play a ton of different games, and they do variety, and then not only is it good, like you may lose initial viewers at first, but in the long run you'll really like figure out who's your community, who likes your message, whether you're playing this game or not, and then kind of like really hone into that, because it's too easy to be like, I'm a Fortnite streamer, and I know that
Yeah.
game gets memed on a lot, but like honestly, like or Call of Duty or whatever game it is, um, I tried to do with Destiny, and it's just I came from a game called SOS that had a giant community of streamers behind it because the game kind of incentivized being a streamer playing it.
Mm,
Um, so I quickly saw when that game basically died, like a drop off in my views, right?
mm,
And you feel this way or that way about that. But long story short, like I really figured out like what I wanted to do with my stream, which is just be myself, hang out with friends. Some days I'm really quiet and chill. Some days I'm very boisterous and happy.
Would you say then, like, it takes time for a person to figure out their voice about what kind of personality they want to be on their stream?
Absolutely, and I think that's goes with almost nearly anything in life, and it's kind of cliche, but like whether you're a musician or you're a video editor or a comedian or you cook food or whatever, yeah, it just takes you time to find your voice. Yeah. And I feel like there are so many people that watch other streamers that they celebrate their 3-year anniversary and they're partnered and they have thousands of viewers, you know. I
Yeah.
just that's not typical of the platform,
No.
and you need to realize that value the people that like you're one of them, um, who come back to your stream, say hi, chat with you. Not all people have to chat and stream, but it's nice to have that. It helps you make content. It helps a younger streamer like have something to talk about. So all that kind of stuff would be like I by no means have a million people watching me, but I feel like the people that watch me for an explicit reason,
Yeah.
and they want to be there and they want to hang out with me. And you got to really think time is one of the only things you can't get back or pay for more of, other than being
Mhm.
healthier, essentially.
Yeah.
So if people are spending their time on your stream, you got to value that. If they're hanging out with you and giving you their eyes, like you cannot let that go, because that's if as soon as you ignore that, they're never going to come back. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely, because there's just so many ways people's attention can go to. They can be, yeah, maybe watching another streamer, but what about watching the latest Netflix show? What about playing themselves? What about doing the dishes? What about going jogging? There's so many things that could take people's time, and if they've chosen to be there at your time, and especially if you've got a schedule, they've chosen to come back to you over and over on your schedule. That's a valuable thing. That's a thing to remember and to nurture.
100%. And I guess that's the biggest thing I learned from streaming, because like I started streaming just off an Xbox playing Destiny, and then I wanted to make a big setup, and then I was really worried about getting subscribers and donations, and not for the money. I thought that's what it meant to be a successful streamer. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? But I
Yeah.
feel like if you continue to just do you and do what you love and try to nurture a community and be there for them in whatever capacity you can be, they're going to be there for you in a capacity as well. And like I've used to go from streaming almost 8 hours a day, 5, 6 days a week, to being able to stream 3 to 6, maybe even less, but have the same interaction and if not more subscribers and all that stuff. So you just have to find your balance and be honest with yourself and watch your own stream and hate your own voice so that you have to listen to it and all that stuff that everybody does. But honestly, be like, am I entertaining? And you have to ask yourself that, because in the end, that's what people are looking for, right? Nobody wants to just see somebody there mindlessly. Even if you're insanely good at a video game, there are only so many people that can get people to watch just because they're so good. There has to be some element that lets them escape from their life, laugh, you know, or they can watch you be better at a game that they're not good at and then learn from it. So I don't know. That would be my advice to anybody that wants to stream. Again, I'm not super successful, but I've continued to do it for 3 years. It is not taxing mentally on my mind anymore as it
Mhm.
used to be, and it just becomes a hobby and fun. Now, if you really want to grind and you want to respond to every tweet on the planet and be on every subreddit and plug yourself everywhere and be TTV dot whatever key plays and all that stuff, you can grow that way, and it's not a way you can't, but you just got to realize you're shooting for a percentage that's small. And I would never tell anybody not to follow their dreams, but just be honest with yourself about your stream, and it'll be really rewarding for you.
Yeah, I think it's also to tack on everything that you said, which I totally agree on. It's about uh it's about quality over quantity, and it's also about setting your goals and expectations. I think a lot of times when people start, they have the nebulous goal of, I'm going to be a big streamer, or I'm going to get X number of viewers, I'm going to get X income from it. Well, in the beginning, it's a long road. So if you've got those expectations that maybe in the beginning, well, I want at least one person to come hang out with me every single time I do it. That's a great attainable goal, which then builds upon the next goal and the next goal. Instead of looking at the top of the mountain, there is that path that you need to take, that trail that you need to take up there to get up there. And maybe you don't get up to the top of Mount Everest, but you get to the top of, whatever hill is over here. That's still a great attainable goal.
1000%. And my kind of like internal goal right now, or has been for a while now that I've kind of like realized all this, is to have, and this isn't attainable, but 100% viewer to chatter ratio.
Mhm.
Now, I don't expect that. I know people lurk. I know people are at work. They're just, they have you up in their screen, whatever it is, whatever it is. But let's talk maybe 7 out of 10. I'd like to have as many viewers as I have chatters. To me, that really shows engagement, and that just shows, you know what I mean? Like you're
Mhm.
kind of getting what you want out of it. Again, I appreciate every lurker, and I know people do it because I lurk almost every stream all the time. Like I'll come into your stream, I'll chat a little bit, and
Yeah.
then kind of like trail off a little bit, but you're still up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm viewing, and it's just, again, that's a time thing. Like I'm talking about, anytime somebody can spend on your stream is amazing. So I appreciate that kind of stuff. So that's basically my goal right now. And you're 100% right. Like, just, you need to set the goals for yourself that are attainable. Not, I'm going to be a partner in 6 months, and I'm gonna, you know what I mean, and then I'm gonna be a full-time streamer, and I can pay all my bills after that. Like, that's just,
Yeah.
you the perfect storm for that kind of thing.
It's just like in real life with sports. The most famous players in every single sport have had to surpass so many other people that are trying to get to those very few slots of that level of the game. So just because we play a digital sport, just because we play, we're doing not this exact same physical activity as them, it is very few. There's very few slots at the top.
Absolutely, and this is, I read this somewhere, and I'm gonna get the numbers a little bit wrong, but I think it's like the top 1 or the top 3% of Twitch makes, say, over $1 million, you know what I mean, a year,
Hmm.
but the top, like, 13% of YouTube does, or something like that. So
Yeah.
I guess, like, and again, as I was, kind of talking about earlier, it's like, work on your YouTube, even if, like, you have to pay out of pocket for editing and stuff, because in the long run, that's a platform that's going to drive people to your Twitch stream, because they're going to say, "Hey, this guy's videos are awesome. Now I want to see what he does it live, or this
Yeah.
gal, or this person, or them, or they, or whatever." But you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So that's really, I guess, what I've been doing, and why I've been pushing my YouTube so much recently. Because
Hmm.
I've even noticed it, like, when you're not live, people can watch you.
Yeah. Well, let me talk to you about, I don't know if you know about this. This is like extremely like brand new YouTube like tricks. Have you heard of their whole YouTube Shorts system?
I have not, actually.
All right, so let's reveal some secret tech here for everyone. YouTube is trying to compete with TikTok. All of the social networks are trying to compete with each other. So
Correct.
when Snapchat invented their, self-destructing content, well, then Facebook got a version of stories. And when what was it, when Meerkat was coming out with their live streaming platform, well, Periscope was bought by Twitter, and now they had a live streaming platform. So I know this because one of my day jobs is I do social media for clients. So YouTube, just about a month or two ago, started to try their hand at TikTok style of videos, which I hate, but vertical video
Hmm.
shorts. So let me send you a link right here because to compare. So this is just a link to it's my YouTube channel, but look at some of these views. if you look at some of these views, okay, if you look at like let's say the third recent video, new comics this week, November 11th.
Oh yeah, I got you.
This is a 1 minute long video. So their shorts are a maximum of 1 minute long,
Okay.
emphasis on a vertical video. That video has 194 views. It's 3 days old. If you look at, for example, my last
Yeah.
stream of 4 hours was 42 views. If you then go back to the new comics coming soon, November 9th, 1 minute long, 211 views. If you go to my
Okay.
long deck tech video about Vito, that it's that exact same deck that you and Teeks are playing. There's that Vito deck, right? It's 24 views. Then you look at the next one. This is my coming soon, my coming soon preview, MTG Arena Brawl deck coming soon. That's got 559 views, 46 seconds long. So perhaps for yourself and everyone listening, think about that. Think about how YouTube seems to be trying to get in and eating TikTok's lunch. And the way they're doing it is if you,
Mhm.
as a creator, create 1 minute or less long videos that are vertical and hashtag them in the title, hashtag shorts, that's how you
Okay.
can say, put me as part of your shorts
Got
program,
it.
because it's kind of in beta ish. That's how you can start to get some of these views. I already have like, if you look further,
I see. Yeah. Yeah. 3,000 on this one, etc. etc.
yeah,
Awesome. I'm gonna take advantage of that, and I appreciate you for pointing that out because that's what I need to know.
yeah, no problem. Once I kind of figured that out, it's like, well, I'll give it a try. And if I look, I barely was doing this from 2 weeks ago. My very first short was collecting Usagi Yojimbo comics. And when I saw, like, it does seem from my stats from behind the scenes, it does seem that these videos suddenly go viral-ish 2 days later. So once you post it, think about posting something that will be relevant in 2 days. Because all of these that have been posting so far, it seems that they take off 2 days later.
Gotcha. I just sent you a link that has a million things, but if you click that,
Hmm.
that is what it's called, the Dual Deck Anthology Box.
Ah, okay. That's a pretty epic
This
box.
this is what it is. So it's elves, goblins, Jace, Chandra, divine, demonic. I guess two demonic and a Garrick set.
Hmm.
Like double demonic.
Well,
No,
well,
that's an
someone's
error.
asked. Yeah, someone's saying this
Yeah,
is this an
yeah,
error?
yeah, yes, that is 100% an error. But I'm trying to find the picture with all of them. But yeah, that is the set I was talking about.
I think this is really cool. That I hope Wizards would do these a few more times. I'm not sure how long ago this came out, but like to have this huge like battle royale type of a box, I think that'll be popular. People like playing Magic and playing and gathering with people to play Magic, and especially as beginners. How about put in a 4 player or an 8 player type of collection of decks to bring out to the next party?
Yeah, so I guess the idea, and it wasn't Slivers, I was wrong. It was elves versus goblins, divine versus demonic, Garrick versus Liliana, and Jace versus Chandra was the idea of the whole set.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, my buddy had grabbed that, and we used to battle these decks all the time.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that. Like I said, I hope they put out more of these out there. And do any of your whoever owned this, do they still have it? Do you know?
Yeah, actually, he was. I actually messaged him on Discord during our chat, and he was the one that responded and said, "Yep, that's what it's called," and I still have it.
Oh, cool. And
He said, "Cause
were they all nicely sleeved up, or were you playing them without sleeves?
I'm pretty sure they were all sleeved. We were pretty adamant about sleeves at that point in our careers.
Yeah. All right.
There's some really solid cards in there, though. You know.
Yeah. Apparently, on this one, that Reddit post that you sent, the people are saying that the demonic one is one of the OP ones.
Yeah. I guess it's Lord of the Pit,
Hmm.
Flying Trample, etc., etc. Yeah. So it was a fun, set, and he bought that whole thing, and we would battle in the house all the time. So I'm glad I figured it out.
All right, cool. So I think we gave some good advice to people. Set your expectations, have fun with it, find your voice, try to build a presence on YouTube as well. Again, if you're not live, you've got content there for people to check out. I like what you said about that. And then maybe give this shorts beta thing a try and see what happens.
100%. I mean, like I said, not a huge streamer here, but I have a lot of fun with it. I have a lot of loyal people that come check me out all the time, and it's just, it's a pleasure for me to do it.
Hmm. I think that's an important thing to remind people also. When it starts to feel like an obligation or a job or a grind, it might be time to take a break, maybe reassess and recharge and see what you want to do.
Yeah, if you have a real strong base community and you have a Discord and all that kind of stuff, and you tell them, hey, I had a long day at work or whatever, because this isn't my full-time job, and I can't make it today. Most of the time, they're going to support you in that.
Yeah. I think that's another good aspect of things, right? Start up a Discord and then nurture a cool community and just be good to each other there.
Absolutely.
Well, as we wind down, any other final thoughts on anything at all?
No, just bring more ninjas and samurai back to Magic, because whether you feel like they're sets that live in their own world or not, I'm sure you can find a middle ground for it.
Yeah, maybe in the core set. The core set is the big mishmash set with a little bit of everything, so that'd be nice, maybe. Put more of those Kamigawa cards into the next core set.
Yeah, I just really love the art, and it's just kind of something that speaks to me, so that's why I like it so much.
Hmm. Okay, well, Keeb, thanks. Tell people where they can find you online.
Well, speaking of my YouTube, it's youtube.com/KeebPlays. I'm fortunate enough to have a nice URL like that, or twitch.tv/KeebPlays. I'm also on Instagram under the same name, Snapchat under the same name. I don't ever use TikTok, but maybe I will, because it's starting to do really well. I'm just kidding.
And it looks like it won't be banned after all. Who would have thought?
Right? Who would have thought?
That's very good that you were able to get that name on those various platforms. I know that sometimes people have to settle for something else and then just have to keep trying a little bit extra to remind people, no, go to this address, not that address, because I wasn't able to get it.
Oh yeah, that was definitely something that I took into consideration, and that's kind of why the plays is at the end of everything.
Yeah. So as for myself, you can find me everywhere as VM Campos except YouTube. Speaking of that particular problem, I'm VM Campos JR on YouTube. I had to put Junior in there, and now that if I would do it again 10 years later, I don't know if I would have put that in there. But find me as VM Campos everywhere. On my Twitter, on my YouTube, I've got a Patreon. People can check that out if they want to pledge a minimum of $1 to get cool stuff, or just follow for free on Patreon to keep up to date, to be alerted to everything that I do. So, Keeb, thanks so much for being on the podcast again.
I absolutely appreciate it. It's always a pleasure. I always take the time to make sure I can make it as good as I can. And thank you for having me here. I really enjoy it.
Thank you for being on the show, and thank you, listeners, for listening to the latest episode. This has been VM Campos, and I'll see you in the arena.